Whenever people hear the words social worker, most immediately child protection, maybe a home visit, maybe someone removing children. But social work is far bigger and even more diverse. And social workers exist in hospitals, schools, mental health services, prisons, communities, refugee services, fostering agencies, addiction services, and family team. I want us to explore who social workers are, the different types, what they actually do every day, and why this profession matters so deeply in society. Firstly, a social worker is someone who is trained to support people through difficult, vulnerable, and often life-changing situations. Social work is not just about helping, it's about advocacy, protection, empowerment, safeguarding human rights. Social workers work with people when life becomes too complicated and when they can no longer manage the risk without external support. Sometimes that means supporting a child at risk of harm, helping an elderly person to remain safe at home, someone experiencing severe mental health difficulties. And sometimes it simply means being the first person who truly listens without judgment. I've learned over the years, people rarely contact social services because life is going well. By the time we meet many families or individuals, there's often pain, fear, stress, trauma, or crisis already present. I remember supporting a mother whose teenage daughter had completely stopped attending school. Teachers described the girl as difficult and defiant. When we spent time understanding the family properly, we discovered that the young person had severe anxiety, which was linked to bullying and emotional trauma. What she needed was not punishment. She needed understanding, emotional support, and safety. I think people often misunderstand about social workers. We are trained to look deep down beneath behavior because behavior always tells a story. Firstly, the children and family social workers. These are probably the most recognized social workers because we support children and families where there may be concerns around neglect, abuse, exploitation, domestic abuse, parenting difficulties, or safeguarding risk. But what people often don't see is how much preventative work happens. A children's social worker may spend their day visiting families, speaking with schools, supporting parents, attending safeguarding meetings with GP, psychiatrists, with lots of professionals, helping families to access resources, completing assessments, and even ensuring children are safe emotionally and physically. Being a children's social worker is emotionally demanding because decisions can have really long-term consequences. So children's social workers have to be extremely careful before putting out any assessment out there. I once worked with a father who initially refused all support. He was angry during every meeting, but underneath that anger was fear. He felt ashamed that he was struggling financially and emotionally after losing his job. Over time, when trust developed, he began engaging differently. That family eventually stabilized with support rather than crisis intervention. Experience reminded me that resistance often comes from fear, not bad intentions. But two, we have mental health social workers. They support people experiencing severe emotional and psychological difficulties. It may include depression, psychosis, trauma, addiction, suicidal thoughts, or even mental health crisis. They often work alongside psychiatrists, psychologists, nurses, and community teams. A huge part of their role is helping people maintain dignity and independence while navigating very vulnerable periods of life. The third set are hospital social workers. These ones help patients and families during medical crisis. I would say they help with arranging safe discharge plans, supporting elderly patients. They do safeguarding of vulnerable adults. They help families navigate difficult situations and decisions. I'll give an example because I'm not working in that area. They also help connect people to community services. When an elderly person is being discharged from hospital, they'll connect you to support services around your area. Imagine an elderly person discharged without any form of support, particularly when the person has no one living with them. How do you think such a person will thrive? That's where a social worker comes in to ensure that people are safe beyond the hospital wall. Fourth ones are school social workers. I would really love to be a school social worker because I feel like they work around school time. If you're a parent, this will actually suit your lifestyle. If you get a role as a school social worker, our role is to mainly support children struggling emotionally, behaviorally, socially, or academically. Sometimes children act out in school because of things happening at home. Yes, and school social workers often become the trusted adults for these vulnerable young people. The fifth one is adult social workers, similar to hospital ones, but they're different. They deal with adults with disabilities, people experiencing neglect, or even adults struggling with independence. Their role is often dignity, autonomy, and protection. Six, we have criminal justice social workers who help people involved in criminal justice system. They assess risk, support rehabilitation, and help individuals to reintegrate into the society. This work requires strong boundaries, empathy, and critical thinking. Even though social workers work in different settings, there are certain things that connect all of us together. Good social workers listen deeply, reflect constantly, advocate fiercely, and we understand that every person has a story. Then social work teaches you very quickly is life is complicated, and so are the people you're working with. Judgment without understanding helps nobody. As you might have heard too many times, this job is emotionally draining. However, social work is meaningful work. Throw the question back at you. Who is a social worker? Social worker is an advocate, a protector, a listener, challenger, and someone willing to walk beside people during some of the hardest moments of their life. Despite all the misunderstanding around this profession, I genuinely believe social work can change lives when it is done with compassion, integrity, and humanity. Thank you so much for being here. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. What surprised you the most about the different roles social workers actually do? And if you enjoy honest conversations about social work, family life, emotional well-being, and real human experiences, do not forget to subscribe and drop a comment down below. I hope to see you in the next video.